watching a veteran like Andrew Heaney, who has 10 years in the league, just kind of navigate maybe the ups and downs that he's been going through in the latter part of the season?
Yeah, just watching him work every day and the way he goes about it, seeing the way that he's been able to add arm slots, change speeds, mix things up, and just the way that he's able to bounce back from, you know, tougher outings, so to speak. And I know the outing against the Cardinals, you know, having that one where he had a, you know, rough one before and then showing, and he showed that with the season, but then he shows it to the younger guys too. You see Burrows being able to bounce back, and it's good to have a veteran like Heaney that shows the ability to be able to bounce back like that.
What are the conversations like with a veteran versus a young guy going through that, when you still want to be in that leadership manager position and help them through that stuff, but I'm sure they teach you just as much along the way?
They do, and the one thing that's very interesting, it's still the same game. And whether you're a tenured vet that has experience or a young guy that's going through it, it's still a game of baseball. And how the challenge of the mentality, the mental side of the game of battling that and finding ways, and the experience helps you learn different ways to cope and manage and stay confident through it.
Saw you're starting Peguero at second base today. What are you hoping to see from him, and not just in this game, but during his time, this stint in the MLB?
Yeah, he's shown the ability this year to bounce all around and play different positions. Tonight, getting the start at second, and just to continue to be himself, have good at bats, and again, not try to do too much. You know, that it can be a natural thing. You know, he hasn't this first start since being up, and just wanted to be Peggy and go out there and have good at bats, focus on getting his swing off and making solid contact when he's up there. And you know, he's a good defensive player, and just to, you know, play that good defense when he's out there.
If the game would have gone to the 12th, would he have been at first base?
Yeah, so he's the backup first baseman right now.
And how have you seen him just develop? I mean, between third, the outfield, first, he's bounced around a little more.
Yeah, it's been really good. All the reports we got from AAA were really encouraging, the way he's done it, and then to see the work that he's put in over there at first base, and he's out there defensively shagging in center field during the early stages of the day, you know, and then doing picks at first base, ground balls at short. He's getting into a pretty good routine defensively.
You want Tommy's game, batting lead off lately, last since like June, over 300. Where do you see him at right now?
Great. I mean, just the way that we've talked about the way he competes, the work that he's put in, how he's continued to work through everything, and just really cool to see when you talk about veteran and experience, and Tommy has shown the young guys what that looks like. You know, not starting off great, continuing to work, and having the success that he's had, and to all fields too. I mean, the ball to right field last night, he hit really well.
Would you like to see Ashcraft started game or 3 or 4 down the stretch here? When we talk about innings limits and things like that, would he be somebody looking down the road here that this year could be an option?
Yeah, you know, when we were in Milwaukee, he got the start in that bullpen day. You know, I think that we're just going step by step with him right now, and ultimately to see him as a starter. I don't know how the rest of the season will pan out. You know, really just like you said, looking to take care of all these guys in the innings and the way he's dealt with a lot in the past, and just trying to put him in the best position. And last night, he did phenomenal coming out of the pen in tough spots too, getting the big strikeout and then going through the top of their order and only allowing the one unearned run.
You showed a lot of confidence in him right from the time he came up. Like one said, I mean, what was your thinking that he was ready to handle leverage situations right out of the chute?
Yeah, I think it's his mentality, and looking back on some of the stuff that he's gone through in his career, as far as overcoming injuries, the perseverance that takes, the work that takes, the mindset, and not saying that that's totally going to translate right away. You know, there was one outing where he kind of lost the zone a little bit. I don't know how many walks it was, but seeing the way that he bounced back the next game and was able to dial it in, those are the little things that we look at just to see how they're responding to different challenges, and is there an opportunity to give them more.
Kind of talked about it a little bit differently, or a little bit yesterday, but with his mentality, what did you see specifically out of him? Because I know you talked about yesterday that he had some nerves coming into the big leagues, but he also showed that those nerves wouldn't affect him on the mound.
Yeah, he has shown that, and those are like we were talking about with Burrows. Burrows, I think, shows the same thing of like yesterday, small sample, 3-0 on the first batter. how do you slow that down in that moment to get back after it? Because you walk the first guy, next thing you know, the first inning could really get out of control, and Bros has shown that, Ashcraft has shown that, Matt's shown that for, you know, a lot of guys have, but speaking of our younger guys on the team, they've shown the ability to make those adjustments quickly. And, you know, when you're first drafted in the low minors, those adjustments might be week to week, and then it might go series to series, and then it might go game to game. The ability to do it pitch to pitch in the big leagues is vital to be able to make those adjustments, and the young guys have shown that ability so far.
Not specifically related to last night's base running play at third base, but just overall in the game, from when you played, when you first started coaching to where we're at now. Is base running a lost art? Do we do a good enough job as a game in emphasizing the art, the ability to run the bases, or do we kind of get distracted with some of the other tools and things that we're trying to develop to create offense?
Yeah, I think that we try to do a good job with that and trying to challenge the guys, knowing the situation of when to test it, when do you go first to third. And that's the big one. Second to home is typically on third base coach, you know, but home to second, first to third, finding ways to challenge. And we're always talking about putting pressure on the defense. Those plays like last night where it's in between, you don't know if it bounces off of him, trying to score, he ends up, and I still don't know if he dove for it. It looked like, to me, he lost his balance going for it. If he ends up holding his feet, I don't think there's any way that you score on that ball. But just knowing the staff that we have and the way that we talk about those things post, always trying to make adjustments and find, should we be on the bag there to be able to tag and score and find ways, and, you know, having the 300 plus plays of that sent to us to be able to look back and learn from it. You know, and that's what we challenge our players to do too, continue to get better, continue to learn. You know, Cruzy the other day coming around third and turning it on and scoring, and in that moment, if he doesn't score, are we sitting there like second guessing, oh, why would he go in that? But then he scores, and we're trying to be unemotional about it and finding the right opportunities to be aggressive and the right ones to not.
Is it hard to practice base running, especially during the season? I mean, you can go out and take extra hitting if you're a hitter. You can go out and, you know, take fly balls or ground balls from pitchers, throw bullpens. But is it hard to simulate that in a practice situation?
It's harder, and that's why spring training is so important. You know, spring training is a time to really hone in on that. You know, you can go out during BP and we'll have the guys, typically not in the heat of the summer, but go out and get reads. You know, when you're in the middle of the summer and it's 90, 95 degrees out, to your point, it's really hard. But on the bookends of the season, when it's not as hot, if we're not hitting every day, finding ways to do that, but to actually, you know, run the bases like that is a big spring training thing.
It used to be batting practice, you're coming out, right? And then you do your circle around the base pass.
Yes,
I guess
and
that's kind of gone away for everybody.
well,
right?
and we'll do that at times, just not summer, like I was
Right.
saying, it's a
That's
little bit harder.
DK, Brian Reynolds has had his ups and downs, but he's not anywhere hearing trade talk. Why is he a guy that you could want to continue to build around? Like, what is it about Brian, whether he's, you know, hitting really well or struggling, that he's the kind of guy that can be a cornerstone for you?
Yeah, he's the same guy every day. You know, when you talk about the way he plays the game, the way he approaches it, he's always busting his butt down the line. I think there may be one time that he didn't run hard down to first base and corrects it himself the next time. You don't need to manage that. You don't need to talk to him. He just does it and leads by example. And that's somebody that we've seen his ability and the way that he can hit. And there's a lot of value there. He's a big part of us going forward. And I think that, you know, excited to have Brian as part of the Pirates.
How important is it to get some guys to protect him in the lineup then? More guys.
You know what, we need to, throughout the whole lineup, we need to continue to get better, and we've shown stretches of that, you know, when we talk about the commitment to the approach and the way that we go about doing that, and, you know, developing hitters, finding ways, maybe it's through trade, maybe it's, you know, through development, maybe through signing, but just continuing to look to get better every single day.